the Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited. Shalom, brothers and sisters. I'm Elder Rawchaa of the Gathering of Christ Church. I hope you all are well. All praises be to the Most High God of Israel, which is here momentarily just to give you a quick update before going to our Patreon broadcast. Okay. All right. For those of you that are loyal Patreon members, we'd like to thank you for all your support. We have new content being placed there. And it started off as a scenario with Patreon. You have to realize Patreon been on the scene for 5 years or more. And we never did Patreon, but in respect of YouTube's new rules, we would like to stay compliant on this platform. So Patreon was almost a necessity, okay, to be able to bring forth certain information in a controlled environment, okay? So Patreon /A Gathering 44 is where we're going in a couple of moments before I give you an update to what we'll be delving into. How you doing? I see a lot of familiar faces. How are you? Of course, we're of the Gathering of Christ Church. My name is Elder Rawchaa. And our Patreon discussion will end up being a phone discussion. I'm going to open up the phones immediately, picking up from our Wednesday broadcast, based on the fact that there's a lot of news out there concerning the drug paraphernalia that the Biden administration has now, it's up for them to sign it, to put $30 million into drug paraphernalia for the poor population. Now, what are they planning? What are they foreseeing? Okay, now this is not because there's a current need of such when it comes to drug paraphernalia, crack pipes, and what they call safe, for people to be able to safely use drugs. They're getting in front of something. What they foresee is a population who will need to have an escape, a coping mechanism for what they know is coming down the pipeline. Okay. What's a controlled population? A weak population. So you would have the administration looking not to strengthen or embolden or help the poor community, more so than what? Keeping them in the state of need. A coping mechanism. So what are they putting in place? And I'm going to show you, this is Bible prophecy. All right. I'm going to go to the Bible prophecy part in a moment. Subsequent to that, right after that, I'll be going over into Patreon and you can all join us. Okay. Now, there's a few things. At the same time, right after the quote unquote pandemic, you would think we would be phasing out of issues that would lead to more people spreading stuff, right? Okay, let's deal with the drug population. What are they planning first? They went straight from, oh my God, the disease going to kill everybody. Everybody run for their lives to, will New York City supervised injection sites bolster overdose prevention efforts in other cities? Folks, the last I checked, before the election a couple of years ago, I had no idea that this was on the ticket for the needs within the inner cities. That they would put money more so into incentivizing drug use. What do they foresee? Well, this is what happens after breaking down a population, separating families, promoting alternative lifestyles. Okay. On top of that, and see, this is an insult what they're doing. It's a straight insult. Slap in the face to our people. And then promote an absence of God throughout society. Create a covet spirit over all people of strictly individualism, self-pride, consumerism. And then on top of that, put a mechanism that will begin to divide the people within society with a disease. So obviously they're planning, or what they're putting in place, brothers and sisters, is in preparation for, really, it's in preparation for where they know this is all going. The people in the earth are going to need, in the cities, are going to need coping mechanisms for what's to come. Let's read the article, and then there's a few things I have to go over before swinging over to our Patreon members who are now in waiting, and I'll open up the lines almost immediately. Will New York City supervised injection sites bolster overdose prevention efforts in other cities? This is what they call helping the underprivileged community, folks. This is what our people voted for. If they're going to put money into something, it's going to be into that drug segment of population so that they can use that to do what? If they can bolster drug use, then you have an internal destructive community that will only make things worse. They're incentivizing criminality. They're incentivizing, that's right, people with mental health issues. They're promoting that. Either they want you on street drugs, what they call medicinal marijuana use, or pharmaceuticals for mental health so that you can cope. Folks, they've been ramping up for this for a while. They know something is coming down the pipe that the majority of people who has a sober mind wouldn't be able to cope with sober. Something is coming, and I'm going to talk about that. Now, here's their excuse for incentivizing drug use. Key takeaways. The opioid overdose epidemic is a public health emergency. Now, just like, listen, they're putting this on par with, as they see, a pandemic. Let's blow this up for you so you can see it just a little bit here. Just a little. They're making this, brothers and sisters, on par with the pandemic. Like the communities will not be able to survive if they're not able to safely use drugs. The opioid overdose epidemic is a public health emergency that has worsened since COVID-19 pandemic. In November, New York City opened the first supervised injection sites in the United States. The sites have saved at least 59 people from overdose. Oh, yeah, 59 people. Let's put $30 million into this. I mean, it's only, it's only affecting less than 100 people within a subculture that have destroyed its community. And it warrants us to say, look at this area here. It's warrant the politicians to sit around a table in the boardroom to say, listen, let's focus on incentive. If we can embolden this here and put $30 million behind this, it'll help the black community. Or, quote unquote, their little secret words, the minorities. Okay? Or the underprivileged. An insult. Harm reduction advocates are hopeful that the New York City sites will allow for more overdose prevention centers to operate in other cities. Folks, this is what they do. They put it out and claim it's just a test study in some other area they've been looking into. And because it's working so well, it's soon to be rolled out throughout the whole United States. Well, really, that was the plan from the beginning. 2 months ago, New York City became the first U.S. city to officially open supervised injection sites in an attempt to curb overdoses. And I'm sure those that go to these particular places will stay socially distanced. Right? I'm sure they'll, it's all because just a couple of months ago, it was a run for our lives. Let's not get next to other people. But I'm sure people staggering on drugs, smoked out of their minds, will understand the importance, of staying 6 feet away from the other guy who could be smoking a pipe, in proximity. Supervised to make sure that when that rock get up in you, right, that what happens? You don't overdose. We need you alive. We need you in the community. Smoked out. Okay? This is what we need. You don't fall over because we're gonna push you right back into the community, drugged out, in the hopes that it's going to help the underprivileged people. 2 months ago, New York City became the first U.S. city to officially open supervised injection sites in an attempt to curb overdoses. Like they ever cared, right? So yes, y'all seen New Jack City. Y'all know what it is. That's right. These are official Taj Mahals. Incentivized crack sellers. I'm talking about crack sellers. The basement. All dressed up where your crystal meth users, your drug users. Why are they incentivizing this behavior? As if they care about people overdosing. They know these people will become what? A cancer in a society. They know crime is going to go up. They know these people. I've lived around. I was raised in North Philadelphia, 15th and Diamond, brothers and sisters. I know what a brother or sister will do to get their hands on some crack rock. I've seen people steal gold chains and all that from their parents and all that, only to go up the street and sell it for a crack rock. The chain could be worth $300, $400. And they say, well, listen, just give me $30 real quick. And get talked down to $10. So why would they incentivize this? And see, people would like to just highlight the clean crack pipes. There's a lot to do with this when you read the bill. And I'm going to be reading the bill next week on Patreon to let you know what's included, because now the press is really pushing about this crack pipe thing, right? And the administration is becoming elusive, saying, well, It's many things. It's not just, it's to help the overdose issues that are going on in the community. Flossing over the details. Folks, these institutions aren't going nowhere because they're needed to help as a coping mechanism for what they know comes next. Criminality. Let me go through it, and then I'll do my then I'll talk about it. Let's just go through the article. 2 months ago, New York City became the first U.S. city to officially open supervised injection sites in an attempt to curb overdoses. The opening was a long-awaited victory for harm reduction advocates across the country. These are liberals who are incentivized over these, that's right, these institutions that are used in our communities to destroy us. You're going to have all the diversity people, that money coming right to them, and they will be the overseers over these sites, not our people. Some of whom already have plans for opening sites of their own, the same way they locked us up under 1995 Joe Biden bill for marijuana and all that. But look at the people that are opening marijuana dispensaries right now. These are the same type of people that's going to be over these new, that's right, elaborate Taj Mahals from New Jack City, incentivized by the government. Yeah, they should be able to inject and smoke crack safely, right? That's something our communities, that's something we've been chopping at the bit for. We were slamming our hands on the table 2019 going into 2020 with the election and saying, November saying, listen, there's no way we can vote for anyone other than this guy, Biden, because he's going to allow our children to smoke crack and do crystal meth safely. This is exactly what we needed. And there's no other people, should be in position because that's what's needed in our community. And I'm going to show you, according to the Bible, what this is talking about, because Elder Lawya highlighted it. And I've talked about this over about a year, that they are funding a zombie apocalypse. That's what they're funding. The main goals of the sites are to reduce the acute risk of disease transmitted through needle sharing, prevent drug-related overdose deaths, and connect persons who use drugs with addiction treatment, other health and social services, according to the National Institute on Drug Abuse. It seems like this is nothing but like a fighting cut corner for drug users. Y'all know what it is. People get in a fight, they're boxing, and next thing you know, they all wore out, and then they go back to their corner, and they get patched up. They get all patched up, and they get the ice to put down their eyes and say, go ahead, champ, go back out there and finish. Go out there and finish the job. That's all this is. It's an elaborate cut corner like in boxing. So all the drug people who are criminalizing, killing, stealing, clamming in walls, clamming in windows, and that are getting wore out, now they can go to their cut corner, which is one of these institutes, and they're going to be, and guess what? The administration is going to patch them up and say, get back out there. That's all. Get back out there, champ. And then on the other side, the same administration will now begin, listen to this, they will now begin to, in their press, speak about what? The rise in crime. There's an uptick in crime. When they're actually incentivizing and creating an environment for drug users to go into the community to continue to do what the drugs was sent in our communities to do. Then you're going to hear an uptick on crime. See, this is what they're doing. Okay, the subset culture within our community is what was created by the government from the beginning. And they need to incentivize that because they need an uptick on crime to do what? To justify being tough on crime. And on top of that, after that, they're going to say, we need to do something about guns. We're going to do something about guns. But they need a negative subset culture within our communities to continue to criminalize in our society. So they're strengthening the subcultures of our communities against law-abiding citizens. That's what's going on. And they know this leads to what? An internal war within the communities. They know that. They're incentivizing a war. OPS are meant to save lives. Are you kidding me? According to harm reduction advocates and addiction researchers. You see how through their psychology they can make anything sound beneficial? The idea is to reduce health harms associated with drugs. Emily Einstein, PhD, chief of NIDA's science policy branch, told Very Well, so far the evidence suggests that no one has ever died of a drug overdose in one of these sites. NIDA supports evidence based upon reduction in supervised injection sites in other countries have not been detrimental. Einstein said, going forward, the Institute will monitor the NYC sites and others in the U.S. to get a better understanding of their effectiveness. Folks, these institutions, these coping institutions are here to stay. Because without saying it, this is promoting drug use and justifying it. If the government say it's okay, how many more of our children are going to say, well, let me try this? See? And this is what they do. The same way they came into our schools and said we need to teach sexual education so that our children can avoid sexually transmitted diseases. It sounds good on the surface, right? But they were teaching children about sex before the parents could give them the opportunity to understand the responsibility that comes with it. See? And what happened? They started teaching sex education, and we started looking at all these pictures in class and all that. Like, yeah, it was like Playboy books and Hustler books almost for children, looking at what? Private areas of men and women when you can't even see that at home. You can't even see that at home. Your mother know to cover up, your father know to cover up. And we knew, especially growing up in church and all that, you're not supposed to look on someone's nakedness. And in school, they made it sound good, sexual education, hygiene. But really they were doing what? Introducing young children to sex. And what happened? Teenage pregnancy went up. Family courts start getting erected. And now you can see the end result of them introducing something early that seemed like a good idea. So keep in mind, this isn't going anywhere, these institutions. Because when the government allow you to do something without it being criminalized, what happens? More people begin to use. Studies found that the OPS have significantly reduced public injections, drug use, unsafe disposal of needles, syringe sharing rates among users, according to NIDA. What about this? Just get rid of it altogether. Get rid of the needles. Get rid of everything that you've been actually allowing in our communities for use. Get rid of it altogether. I'd rather deal with that fallout than you aiding and abetting criminality in our society and saying you're doing it to benefit the underprivileged. Get rid of everything. Make sure no company make pipes, make syringes out there for all that. Make sure it's criminalized that if people do things that's hurting the society, that we move that subculture out altogether and take that 30 million to invest in the minds of our children. How about that? These are grown people who made their choices to do drugs. Let's not incentivize that. Let's not deal with these institutions. Take that 30 million so that we can focus on changing this generation. So that our children going forward do not have to choose a gang and all these other things for survival, to make money. It's a racket for them, folks. I digress because I have to go over the Patreon, but it's a little firing me up a little bit. There's been an exponential increase in overdose deaths for at least the past few years. And they're going to do all this because of 69 people, folks, they claim. Under 100 people they claim overdosed. They're going to use this. They know crime is going to go up because this is the only thing they're doing is incentivizing drug use. Knowing that these people are going to come into the community and continue to erode, steal, and kill and destroy so that now they can come on the back of it in New York and saying with a black mayor, we have to be tough on crime. Same crap Joe Biden did in 1994. When they incentivized the crack game, when the crack came out of nowhere in our communities, and all of a sudden, we have to be tough on crime. There has been let me go straight here. The New York City sites, matter of fact, let's get rid of this. You all see where this is going. They're going to justify incentivizing drug use in our communities. Now, listen, like I said, I'm not Democrat or Republican. But suppose Donald Trump did something like this. See, and that's the whole point. He wouldn't have been able to. And that's why they use the liberal left. Okay? You see, and when Donald Trump said Africa was a cesspool and all that, yeah, he should have got pushed back on that. Because it was the governments that stopped Africa from actually being able to take advantage of the resources they're walking on. Everybody was up against Trump. Rightfully so when he said something negative about Africa. Rightfully so. But suppose he was behind this. Is this worse than what he said about Africa? Suppose he would have said, listen, $30 million isn't going to go towards helping the children in the community. We're going to incentivize the drug users and put $30 million to make sure we keep them nice and strong to continue to erode and destroy the communities. Suppose Trump did this. I digress. What does God say? Where does this goes? Well, I'm going to show you where it goes. This is where it goes, brothers and sisters. In the Apocrypha, 1611. Okay, I have a Bible with the Apocrypha in it. This is called the Holy Bible King James Version. I also have in here an original 1611 King James with all of the books together, the 66 in the King James and the 14 that the devil decided to take out of the book. And guess what? I'm going to say it again, and it's proven. King James was a black man, and he wasn't a homosexual. These are all lies on our people. He was of black nobility in England, and I have proof of it. But in this Apocrypha, not only does it show the North American Indians and others that came over in America in 721 BC, who was colonized and conquered by the Roman Empire, they sent the British, they sent the French, and they sent Spain against the children of Israel here in North America. We were here already. And it's in this book, the Apocrypha. We're God's people. And this has always been a war. Rome against the children of God. Esau against Jacob. And that's the war we're born into. But I'm breaking it down on a political level so you can understand prophecy and how it plays out politically real time. Okay? So why are they at this point, brothers and sisters, incentivizing crack, crystal meth? Why do they want that subculture to thrive and grow and be protected to a degree by government within our society? Because they know drug use is about to go up exponentially as a coping mechanism for what they've done to family. People are alone. Okay? Families are separated. There's non-trust. And I'm going to tell you, folks, sometimes the only refuge we have in this earth is distractions like online. But what happens when they begin to take all that away? That's why they made the metaverse, so that people can stay in dream world and not deal with the reality of what this world has become. And the Bible speaks of this in the Apocrypha. And I'm going to do you all a solid. Let's read this together. Let's read this together. Second Esdras, the 16th chapter. Second Esdras 16, and I'm going to go straight to it, the 68th verse. This is where we're going, and the Biden administration and the earth itself knows it, knows what I'm saying is true. Let's go straight to the 68th verse. This is where we are in prophecy, right here. Right here. The 68th verse. For behold, matter of fact, let me put it down here so you can see it here. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you. It's kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you being idle with things offered unto idols. You notice for the last couple of years, they've been promoting East Indians, Asian people, to bring the ancient Babylonian gods that once ruled our people in Babylon over here to America through their temples and worships. And now they're sacrificing their food and praying these demons in food that they're actually serving to our people in the community. So while we're idle, we're eating the foods that they sacrifice to their gods on altars before their store opens. And they that consent, that means we are in agreement with this stuff. They that consent unto them, and this is why all your commercials and all that are going to be Asian. You're going to see Asian, 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 Asian. This is the phase we're going into, where the Roman Empire has incentivized the Asians to spiritually come and circumvent our communities and destroy us inwardly and attack against the children of Israel. So in order to keep us from what? Responding, they must have us what? Under what? An hallucination stage, a drug stage. So that we don't realize that what? We're under attack. And they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and reproach and trodden underfoot. For there shall be in every place, this is the one, And in the next cities, a great insurrection upon those that fear God. This is a spiritual attack against those who can see. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. First of all, they had to get the stuff in the people. That's the nanoparticles in the people. That's what's been going on for the last 2 years. And now on top of this, you're going to incentivize drug use with the same people that got that stuff in them will now have a cut corner to go to clean up, to only come into the community and cause more criminality, killing, stealing, and robbing. Madmen, like the Bible said. And these are going to be demons directed against those who are law-abiding, those who believe in God, those who believe in the Bible. This is a spiritual war. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. Then shall they be known who are my chosen. And they shall be tried as the gold in the fire. And I'm going to tell you right now, folks, the people who don't know what's going on and decided to follow under this pandemic, all the stuff that they were promoting, that's so that the righteous can see who's going to be utilized against you when it's all said and done. And that's why Christ says, that's right, the enemy shall be they of your own household. Husband against wife, parents against children. And on top of that, they've divided the family through all of these isms, feminism, this ism, that ism. They have taken God out of the way, and they have incentivized demons in our community by pushing drugs as a norm. And eventually, when it tell you they're going to be going into your house like madmen, spoiling and killing. Now, at the same time, the governments of New York City and Washington, D.C., they're going to be touting that there's a need to take away the guns from law-abiding citizens, knowing that these criminals and drug users, unrepentant, have guns. They're fermenting an internal war in the inner city so that now, through their Hegelian dialectic, they have a problem, and then they'll come with what? The reaction to the problem, saying there's too much crime, and their solution is what? Military. A reason for martial law. Listen to what I'm telling you now. That's what they are incentivizing. They're not talking about rehabilitating our people. They're talking about making sure they have clean ways of using drugs to come in our community to continue to destroy us. So they're going to talk about gun crime up. Listen to what I'm telling you. And then they're going to talk about changing gun laws as if people that are on crack, crystal meth and all that went down to the municipal hall to actually apply for a gun. The people in gangs, folks, do not go and apply for guns. This is to take what? The civil protection away from those who are being broken into, who are being shot at, whose families are being assailed because what? They have institutions that are actually enabling the drug use that have always eroded our community. And God said this would happen. It's in the Bible, folks. Babylon the Great is fallen, and we're giving you blow by blow understanding prophetically of how this is coming to pass. Our families have been what? Our family have been induced with drugs against us. And they have no idea what's in them and how that's going to be utilized to go against the same people they claim they loved. We're in the time of the end. And we here to give you the blow by blow prophetic understanding on what to do. And that's why when it all started, when the plan or pandemic happened, I told y'all, trust in the Most High and sit pat. Sit pat. Now they got the percentages of people who believe what they were saying. They already got the stuff in them already. So now they're on to the next phase. It's only going to be about 3 more years, 2 or 3 more years before we realize the real effects that came with that choice that a lot of people made under the guise of a code. They're not even going to know what the long-term effects are until it's presented later. But it's more neurological in the mind. A lot of this stuff they're using out there is, I'm talking about the stuff they're giving, going to have a neurological impact that would turn that will actually turn their God gene off. They're going to be people walking without any empathy, without any love for humanity. And believe it or not, for the last 2 years, people have been joining Satan's army. So on top of that, Satan say, well, now let's now incentivize the zombies. Now, I'm well past the time. I'm sorry. I have to go to Patreon. They're waiting for me here. Sorry about that, but I had to at least tell you what I'll be going into for the phone calls. All right, through the phone calls. What I'll be talking about for the first 16 minutes is that now they're talking in City Hall in different cities about what's about to happen. And I'm going to be going into that on Patreon. And what is the real fallout from what they've been producing under this thing for the last 2 years. I'm going to also be talking about what some of the doctors are saying. They speak out, and I'm going to be talking about that on Patreon. One other thing I would like to say. One other thing, last but not least, before going to Patreon, brothers and sisters, I like to say, brothers and sisters, you need to stay prayed up in the spirit of the Almighty, sober-minded, to understand, not to fear. The Most High said this would come to pass. But he also said that he would save a remnant through this. So you're not to panic. Knowledge is power. The Bible says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. The biggest issues with our people is that they were ignorant and are ignorant to what's going on in the earth prophetically according to God. Okay? A lot of you aren't hung up with that issue of being ignorant. You want to know what the future, what lies in the future according to the Most High. You want to know what's happening in real time so that you will know according to our God what to avoid. So as long as you avoid these pitfalls and these lies and these deceptions that come from the people who claim to care for you and follow God and make the hard choices when family members, brothers and sisters, leaves us no alternative to make the hard choices. See? To make the hard choices. What they did with the drug epidemic in our communities, that, brothers and sisters, didn't come from Freeway Ricky Ross. That was high-level government control to control our people in the communities. And we had to make some hard choices when our family members decided to go on crack and all these things, and that turned them into something else. And we would always try to see the person we loved in that person. But eventually, for self-preservation, we had to make hard choices and say, listen, until you get yourself together, I have to wash my hands of it because my children aren't going to die. My family is not going to be destroyed. And you're not going to steal anything else out of my house if I can help it. And me enabling you by still looking and trying to find that person that once was there, that person we once loved, is hurting my house now. And we had to make hard choices then. Brothers and sisters, I was up in that time. I was growing up trying to deal in the music, and I was a young man, but I remember how drugs eroded and destroyed and changed our community. And we had to make hard choices. Where next time you get somebody come in your house and something is missing. I mean, I remember having a Shure microphone. My first microphone I purchased at the age of what? 19 or something? And I had a Shure microphone under my bed. I had a friend, his name was Tom, who went to school with me. Listen to this story. I had a friend named Tom who went to school with me. Right? We had a little band and all that. And he ended up getting on the stuff. Crack and all that. Every morning I would check under my bed to make sure the microphone was there, the Shure microphone. Now, mind you, it came in this shiny silver case. Shiny silver case. And he know I love that microphone. Every morning I'm looking under the bed and I can see the case. Oh yeah, it's good. When the show come, I'm gonna have my own mic. Yeah, I'm gonna kill it. But guess what, folks? The show came. Right? The show came up. I went under the bed to open up the shiny silver case and the mic was gone. So I've been personally affected on every level. Family members, friends, and all that. And guess what? Not only did I not have a mic with my boy Tom who did this to me, I also that night didn't have a drummer. Because he knew I was going to find out. Okay? So I'm going to tell you, they're funding the zombie apocalypse. And I'm going to be talking about that strictly when we get to, when I get to Patreon. All right. I'm sorry. Sometimes I digress in these old stories and all that, but but anyway, folks, it's Bible prophecy, what I'm talking about right now. Okay. So I'm about to go to Patreon. Okay. And I need to give y'all the announcement. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube page, this page, please do so. A Gathering 144. Go there, hit subscribe and the bell, and suggest and say that you would like to receive all notifications. If you are subscribed, check, because YouTube, under the cover of night, be unsubscribing members. Okay, so check and make sure they haven't unsubscribe you, please. Okay? Because we're only 200 subscribers away. So make sure you share this. Let everyone know the word is out. We understand what's going on, and a lot of hard choices must be made. The same way we made choices when it came to family members and friends who end up operating like zombies and all that against us. Understand that people that are getting juiced today under the guise of the cough, that eventually, if they continue under these drugs, they're not going to be the people we grew up with. They'll look the same, but their actions will tell us something happened to them up here. And the same way we had to protect ourselves from drugs and people that made that choice years ago for decades, we're going to have to protect our people from those who made that choice in our homes, because they're coming after those who fear God, according to 2nd Esdras. This is how Satan recruits his army. Drugs. Drugs is how he get others in his army on the base level, his infantry. So like I told you, folks, this is their plan: to incentivize drug use And after that, claim that crime has gone up after they incentivize the drug use. And then through that, the Hegelian dialectic solution is to now ramp up the police and ramp up. You're talking about defund the police. No, more money going towards that too. That was another lie. And then they're coming after the people of God. That's the plan. Satan's army has now been incentivized by the guy y'all voted in. Okay? So I also like to say go to historytimes.org to be in this academy, because the news we're going into, I can't talk about here. All right? So I have to respect this platform's rules, and okay, I'm going to honor those. But if you want to get more insightful information during the news segment of our Gathering of Christ Church Hebrew and Bible Academy, that's the link. Go there. It's very cheap to participate in this. You'll have the Hebrew, the news segment like no other news segment on earth. I'm telling you, it's not like anything on earth when it comes to us giving you commentary through a biblical perspective to let you know what's really going on with the news. The news is never what they say it is. So get there for that. And of course, we're going into tracing the serpent seed, showing you that there's portals in the earth, that angels or stars came to this earth before Adam, and they're still here. They're not aliens. They were here before us. And I'm going to break that down with tracing the serpent seed. Eventually, these fallen ones out of Adam and Eve's children would find a king in which they can establish their city. It happened before the flood, and it happened after the flood. And all these cities you see in the earth, folks, were first established before the flood, and only what? Resurfaced and rebuilt in our current modern times. It's no coincidence that Los Angeles was named the City of Angels. So, tracing the serpent seed. Hey, we're going to go into it like you've never seen before. Introducing to the whole earth what God have always have shown those who believe. That minions, a lot of these politicians are only used as pawns in Satan's chess game against humanity. So now we must reveal who? The real God of this world. Many out there are blaming our God for the evil that is going on here. We're going to introduce to you the real evil of this world, the God of this world, whom most people in this earth serve. And in introducing him, we're going to show you his children. Yeah, who like to keep their bloodline separated from everyone else. Oh, yeah. Like your Queen of England. Oh, listen, I'm Hebrew and Bible Academy. Be there this Sunday. Like your Pope. Hold tight. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for being here. I went too long. I apologize to my Patreon members. Hold tight, Patreon. 5 minutes. I'll be right over with the phone calls, okay? Patreon.com/A Gathering 144. Patreon.com/A Gathering 144. Now, not like this platform, if you go to the link and become a Patreon member, you must unmute and make sure you hit the play in the platform to see and hear. So don't go there and just stand there and say, well, what's going on? You'll be able to chat, but you also have to unmute yourself. You have to unmute the video player in Patreon to see and hear, okay? I'm going right over, chopping at the bit on phone calls. what they're planning next. You've just heard it here. And we're going into more details with what they're saying in City Hall and all that, because the population aren't looking into these things. You have people pushing back like, this whole thing for the last couple of years were we lied to? What are your true plans against us? Well, that's what we'll be delving into next with our loyal Patreon members. And we thank you, brothers and sisters, for supporting us. Some people support us here, and that's fine. Hebrew Bible Academy, that's a whole nother level. We thank you. But even you loyal Patreon members, I can't say thank you enough. And we're doing everything we can to make that experience an unique experience every Friday, if it be the Most High's will. Okay. So hold tight, stay prayed up, sin not. We will soon see Zion.
To Zion. I was lost, but now I'm found. I'm a child of Israel. I heard the sound. You hear the sound. Please give me the strength to stand today. With my eyes towards the east, show me the way to Zion. To Zion. I'm on my knees. Laying my life on the line. I'm begging, please. Please don't let me fall. Give me the strength. Place my feet, Lord, guide my path. Show me